Hey, welcome back to Brentwood Workshop. I'm Al, and today we're going to talk about window valances. Are they cool? Out of date? What do you think? I made this one for this room because this is my wife's office, and I thought I could do something cool for her. So I made one, read more books. And what I did with this valance was, I made this with the xTool S1 40-watt laser, and because it only has a 19.5-inch bed size, I had to make this in pieces to make it the 37 inches wide. And I made it 5.5 inches tall. And I'm going to show, if you want to make one of these, I'm going to show you some of the pitfalls, some of the things I would change in the design, and how I achieved what I've got here. But this was pretty cool because this insert, when you open the window, it looks even better. Now, if you wanted to, you could design these inserts and then do like an LED string around it, so this could be mood lighting in your room too. But what I did was I made these so that you could interchange them. So, say it's Christmas, you want to put a Christmas one in. You put a Christmas one in. Or you just have, whoops, live, love, laugh, or whatever you want it to say. Doesn't have to be 3 words, it could be more. It could be whatever you want. But I just thought it was kind of cool that you get that effect when you open the window. When you open the curtain, I mean. But so this is what I came up with. So I did these inserts with this translucent paper that I got, I think at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. And basically you just get a whole bunch of different colored sheets. And they're thin. I glued them on, and when I glued these on, these are only 8.5 by 11. So what I had to do is I had to have a seam here, which I don't really care for, but I didn't have anything bigger. If I was gonna do these in a larger scale, if I was making them for people, I would probably get some of the thin acrylic that's 20 inches and put acrylic behind this, and maybe even do this 3 layers so that the magnets are in the acrylic, or something to think about. Tell me what you think on that. I'm gonna work on perfecting it because I do think it's a really cool idea. And if you think it is, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. Tell me if you like the idea. So on these, I used that translucent paper, and what I did was, on this one, I ran the seam this way, and you can kind of see the little seam there. On the Christmas one, I ran it up and down, and on this one, I ran it diagonally. I think this was the most visible. The other thing I would do is make them all this wide or wider for the border, because these ones are actually 1/4 inch, and that's the width of the magnets. So I actually ended up chipping out the edges a little bit and drilling a little faster than I wanted to. So some of these have double magnets in them because I drilled too deep because it's so thin. There wasn't really enough meat. So some things to think about if you want to do something like this. So my wife and I really like mid-century modern design. So I did this one just to see if I could do something that looked, you know, mid-century modern, looked pretty cool. So I love how this came out. I think it's really cool. I designed all the elements in Studio, and I'm going to show how I made these on the computer side of things. If you'd like to watch that, I'll do that next. But mid-century modern, I really like. The only thing I might have done different is, I think I might have used the clear orange acrylic instead of painting it. Tell me what you think on that. I think that would look really cool. That I may try that in something else. We'll see. I might do another one of these in the clear acrylic. But I like how that came out. I might even cut those out and put clear acrylic behind them. I'm thinking about it, and then have it lit. So these are some of the things you can do. I added curtain hangers. I added little notches in the back of these, glue-on notches, so you can hang the curtain rod right in it. And I'll show a close-up with the sides. I did sides custom too on this. So I did the sides, and this is the front, and I designed all these elements right in Studio, or got them from Studio. The stars are from Studio, the boomerangs I made, and the Sputnik design I made. So we're going to go into that next. Okay, so the first things we need for our valance are our side brackets. Okay, so on our side brackets, if you wanted to do something like this, you can go into the elements. And what I did was I picked this L bracket here. Okay, we're going to turn it, hold shift, and turn it right there. Now, we want the bracket to be 11, we'll go 12 inches just for ease. 12 inches. And we want a 5-inch, hang on here. So we want this to be 5 inches on the top. So we're going to unlock this. We're going to make that 12. We're going to make this 5. So this is what our bracket's going to look like. But then we want to add 3/4 onto it. Actually, yeah, we'll add our 3/4 now. And that's going to be our 3/4 inch reveal. This is the 3/4 inch piece that's going to go in the back for the board. Okay, this is going to be a full side, and then this is going to be the piece that's going to go. Here, we'll bring this forward to show you. So there's our 3/4 inch reveal behind. Okay, so we're going to put that back. Oops, didn't go far enough down. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our two pieces. So this piece here is our 5 3/4 by 12. We want it to look like this. So in order to do that, we're going to edit it. And we're going to take this leg from here. And we're just going to pull it back to a point something like that. And then we're just going to clip. We don't want to clip that off yet because it's going to clip the whole thing. So you're going to take this and you're going to drag these two until they join. And then you can clip that. And then you want this to be curved. So in order to get a nice curve, just put a point, something like that, and that. Move this one back a little bit. That one back a little bit. And then we're going to take this and move it. And then you're just going to take your little arms there and see how it's a little off, so we can slide it up and give it a little better arc. And as you can see now that you zoom out, that arc isn't the same as this one. So you could actually, if you want them to be the same, you can take this and slide it up until it's even with that. And slide this one back. And then just move these back to a position that looks. And as you pull this out, as you can see, you can move where that reference point is. So see how you can get that right where you want it. Now, if we want to do this piece with 3/4 separated off that, we're going to take this, we're going to copy it, we're going to paste it. Go back to here, hit rectangle. We're going to take this and we're going to go 0.75 wide. Take this and we're going to put it right like that. Okay, so we've got this lined up. We should be able to pick the two, go to combine, subtract, and there's our piece with 3/4 inch off. So when you put this over here, this will be the piece behind. Okay, so then on this one, your cutouts, basically I just picked something out of not this one, but out of here. They had this one right here. And I somehow downloaded that one by accident. So on this one, if you want to use this piece, what you got to do is you've got to either offset it or trace it. Hit save. Now you've got your trace. You can get rid of this one. Okay, you got your trace. You're going to release the compound vector, and you're going to take, actually, I like the positioning of them. So we're going to take the outer one off of this one, the outer one off of that one, and we're going to delete. And delete those two. Then you just take these, and this is your outer one. You're going to put those in there. And we want it a little bigger, like that. You're going to pick this one, you're going to copy it, and you're going to paste it. And you can put it down here. It's a little big, so just zip it in a little bit. And there's your mid-century modern looking bracket. So one of the other elements you get in like mid-century modern is called the comet. And since we don't have one, we're going to make one. Just going to take this, move this something like that. Then we're going to hit subtract. And that gives us kind of a comet. And then basically to change it up to what we want, we can unlock it. You can drag it out to, ooh, now see, there's a good mid-century modern shape right there. So we're going to take that one and we're going to move that. We're going to shrink it. Well, oops, undo that. I like that shape and then I forgot to lock it. Make sure you lock it. Okay, so we want that shape. We're going to shrink it. We're going to shrink it down a little bit more. And then we're going to copy it. We're going to paste it. And we're going to reflect it horizontally and vertically so that it's not exactly the same, so that it's kind of like that. And then in the middle, we'll come up with something that's a pretty good mid-century modern design. Let's do something we haven't done before. We'll do a ring array, a circular array. Okay, so to make our circular array, we want this to be one of the mid-century modern, what they call a Sputnik. And we're going to make a rectangle. Then we're going to make a circle. We're going to hold the shift key down. We're going to put this circle on the top of here. And then we're going to copy it. And we're going to paste it here. And this looks a little short. So I want to we're going to unlock this. I'm going to stretch this down. It did not unlock. All right, so go back, unlock this. I'm going to stretch this down a little bit. Move that down to right there. And we're going to take this and we're going to go unite. And then we're going to go into our applications. We're going to go circular array. Now then we're going to hit done. And that's going to give us basically that Sputnik look that you get in mid-century modern. And then we're going to unite that. And there's our cutout. So in the circular array, there's a bunch of different things you can do. And I haven't messed with it too much. But there are adjustments you can make. Like if you wanted 8 of these, or you could do 9 of them. You do 6 of them. I don't know why 8 is less, but 9 is a lot. 8 is good. 7 is a lot. And 6 is less. I don't know what, there's some sort of a glitch there. And then 5 is more. And 4 is 4. And 3 is 3. And 2 is 1. So basically, these numbers, I don't really see where they apply because this is actually 2 copies. And it says 4. And then when you hit 5 copies, we've got way more than 5. And then with 6, you've got 5. No, you got 3. and 8 is what we want. So that's it right there. And then unite, and there's our piece. And I've already put it in our valance. So this is what our valance is going to look like. Something like that. Let's delete this. And then if we did the valance in the same theme that we did this in, we would make it a compound vector, turn it, in blue. And that would be what that would look like. And then what you would want to do is you would want to take this and copy it and paste it and turn it orange and hit engrave. And this basically will give you an idea of what it looks like if you did it in painted 2-color. You want to bring that to the front. And that's what this would look like painted in 2-color. So that'd be a pretty cool valance. So that's what we're going to make right now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do this out of 2 pieces of 1/4 inch. Now, because it's 1/4 inch and we can't do without a conveyor this big of a piece, we're going to do this in sections. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a seam right in the middle here. And then we're just going to fill that before we paint it when we glue it to the back. And our back piece doesn't have anything cut out of it. So that's just going to be a straight piece of Luan or 1/4 inch plywood. Okay, so if we want to split this in half so that we have basically 2 pieces, what we're going to do is we're going to take the 2 of these and we're going to line them up perfect like that. Then we're going to take a rectangle on this one and we're going to go right there, halfway. And then we're going to take that rectangle and we're going to copy it and we're going to paste it. And we're going to move this one over this one and we're going to line these 2 up perfect. Just like that. Then we're going to take this rectangle and we're going to turn it purple. Make sure we're still lined up. We're still lined up good. Okay, so we're going to move. Oh, all right, hang on. Undo that. Make sure you unlock these before you separate them. But what you want is you don't want these 2 touching at this point because then they will try to subtract each other. And somehow we've got a little dot here we've got to get rid of because all of our pieces are here. I don't know what that is. Okay, so these are far enough apart now. We can take this and we can take this one, just slide it down, hit combine, subtract. And then we're going to take this one. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to hit combine, subtract. And now we have our 2 halves. Now these 2 halves are going to line up. Just like that. So when we cut these 2 pieces out, that's going to be our 2 full-size pieces. And they're going to be basically connected together here. And we've got this piece here that is random. We're going to delete that. Okay, and then we're going to go back. We're going to regroup this. That was already grouped. So there we go. And now we've got our cut pieces. We're going to go get a piece of wood and we're going to cut these out. Okay, so when I went to cut this out, I realized that I didn't get this centered perfectly. And that was when I went to cut this out because it wasn't centered. We're pushing our limits on the size this S1 can take. So we have to make sure this is centered or we won't be able to cut our 2 pieces out. So to get it centered, with all this stuff in here, it doesn't want to actually do it as easy. So the easiest way to center your piece in the middle is to just pull everything out. And then you can zoom in and you can, right there, center. Okay, so now we're centered. Now we can put our other elements back in. And these don't matter because they're basically in the full work area. So we don't mind if they're not perfect. Okay, so you want them to look good, but they don't have to be perfect. Okay, and you could add another little star here or something just to add a little more fun. It looked a little bland, so we're going to add another one. Okay, there. I think that looks a little better. Okay, now we've got our pieces cut out correctly. We can take them and put them in our S1 work area. And because they're cut in half, and we've got about 19.5 inches of workspace in the S1, this gets us set up for a perfect cutout. We've got 18.75 as our overall size, and we are on the board there, and we are fully on the board there. So we're ready to go with this. Okay, so I had recorded, or didn't record, cutting out the original piece. Now, I got really close on the edge on this one. Probably because I didn't frame it like I was supposed to, but yep, actually I ended up cutting it off. So when you do your framing, make sure you check a little better. Now, we have a little bit of flash on the back of this. I did elevate it, but my honeycomb was pretty dirty. So I think one of the things I'm going to need to do here pretty quick is clean that. But actually, those are actually close enough, I don't think it matters. So there are our two pieces, and when we do these, they're going to be reversed. So this one with flash we'll have to clean up a little bit, but we're priming it, so it really doesn't matter. So I just put some, basically the DAP plastic wood filler on this, and we're going to let that dry up, and then we're going to prime it and paint it. Okay, so we're all primed up on both boards, and I kind of painted inside of the cuts so that when we paint this blue, it'll be blue all the way into the bottom. And sometimes leaving it black is good, but if you get a little run, then it shows up. Whereas if you paint it all blue, it's all coated. So I got my primer on this and my first coat of orange. I still had a little bit of a seam showing on the top and bottom. So I just used a quick little dab of spackle, and we'll let that dry up, and we'll sand it and smooth it out. And then we'll paint this one blue. And that'll give us our two colors. And then now I'm going to go cut the side pieces and get those ready to prep. So to glue this up, I'm going to use a combination of wood glue. And what I did was I kept the wood glue back from where all my cutouts are so that I don't get wood glue into my piece. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little CA glue on it in a few spots to hold it together so that the wood glue can dry. All right, so now we've got it all glued up. If you don't want to spend a ton of money on these spring clamps, clothespins work really well for stuff that's this thickness. You go much thicker than 1/2 inch, and you're going to have to go something bigger. But for this, we glued it up with we clamped it up with clothespins and some spring clamps, and we're going to let it dry. Okay, so we've got our back piece with our smaller hole to hold these in place, and then we have our front piece. Now, the front piece we're going to do in 3 pieces. And what I did was I copied and pasted this, and I took my centerpiece and I copied and pasted. So this is the centerpiece that goes in here. And I have a 19-inch piece of plywood. So this is going to be the 19 inches. I have 19.5 actually, but 19.5. All right, so that's going to be basically that's going to be our centerpiece. This, oh, hang on, we got to release the compound vector and copy and paste this, and we're going to make that a score or cut, doesn't matter. And we're going to center this up on. All right. The thing is, if you have a bunch of things in line with what you're doing, it'll try to center it up off of everything. So move it over here and pick this and center that up on that. Now, this is your basic idea of your 3 pieces. You've got your center box with this. Then you've got your large box. So what you want to do is you want to copy and paste this up here. And we want to make it so that it's basically 3 pieces. So it'll be, this will be a right, a left, and a center piece with our cutout in it. And if you wanted these to be unique. You could make these double layered so that it's a step effect, so that you're hiding the fact that it's a seam by making it dramatic. Or you could take and round these. Say you want a half-inch round, 0.5. What does that look like? That looks okay, and it kind of matches that. So you could make this. I'm just gonna slide this out here. Make this your center box. Then, actually, we're gonna delete that one. We got too many boxes going here. Where's our original inner box? There's our original inner box. There's our rounded over box. This is the additional box. All right, so we're gonna delete that. And then we're gonna take this. Oh no, we're gonna do deleting that because we need that one. That's our round over one, right? No, delete that. Copy and paste that. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, go in here, I'm gonna go subtract. Oh, we didn't have it perfectly lined up. So let's make sure we got this perfectly lined up. All right, I think we're perfectly lined up now. So we should be able to take all this, hit combine and subtract. And that didn't do anything. Very strange. Did I not get them both picked? Okay, we get them both picked. Now go combine, subtract. Okay, so now it's not subtracting at all. Is this outer one 5.5? Undo, undo, undo. That's 5.5. That's 5.5. They should, all right, we got it centered. They should work. Unite, ain't gonna work. Exclude, almost works. So you can mess around all day, or you can just go in here, go to edit and go sometimes I get frustrated and I just go in and do that and clip. Now there's our two pieces. So here are our, oh, hit done. So here are our two separate pieces. Now we're going to release that compound vector. Now you have side purple, purple, that's that, that's the center. Make sure she's centered up nice. Okay, we're perfectly centered. I'm going to group that. And this will be, once you assemble it, will be our full piece. And you could make these two different colors with a little curved edge so it at least looks a little better. But so there's our three pieces for our front. Now we need a back piece to go behind this. And that's going to be our, this piece here. And we're going to put that back to score. This piece here, we're going to take this whole thing and we're going to copy it. We're going to paste it. And then we're going to line them up. We're going to make a rectangle, something like that. Slide it to center. I'm going to copy it. We're going to paste it. I'm going to put it over here. We're going to line it up. Center and that. I'm going to take this one and we're going to go combine, subtract. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to go combine, subtract. And there are two halves for the back if you wanted to do it this way. All right, so we're going to run this off, and that's going to give us our full valance piece there. So one thing to keep in mind, if you do it like we did, where you add the round over and extend this, if this is the 19, these points are going to make this more than 19. So what I did was I staggered them so if they came out to the outer edge, and this one went into the tip of this one. Because we have 5.5, we had plenty of room to move this down. So these are our two end pieces, and this is our middle, and that'll butt up like that, and that'll give us our 3 pieces to make our front. And then what we'll do is we'll make our backer piece out of 2, and we'll glue it all up. Okay, so this is the box we want to put our text in, okay, for our shine through design for our Valance. So let's just take the standard live, love, laugh saying, and what you're going to do is you're going to click on that. You're going to type that out. I found that Goudy Stout works pretty well, but for your own design, do what you want to do. But so we're going to split the text. You take these and you're going to move this over until it's basically over. You got to make sure it's overlapped, and you want a fairly good overlap. So okay, all 3 of these, and I also found that working caps works the best. Capital letters works great. Okay, so there's your live, and then you're going to take this and you're going to hit combine. You're going to hit union. Now, if you hit engrave, that's all one piece. Okay, so there's your live. And I hit there's love. And then you do the same thing. You're going to split your text. Now, here's where we're going to get into the O's. And this is why I kind of want to use the saying, because it kind of covers all of the things you might think about. Like, wow, what happens with the O? Okay, so we're going to center that and move this one over. Now, the only problem is this thing always zooms away from where you're working. But, okay, so you put your O, your V, with a good overlap. And you take your E and you overlap that real good. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to hit combine, union. Okay, so and again, engrave, that's what we're going to get. And then we're going to do our last one, and then I'm going to show you how to make this whole thing work. Okay, so there's our live, love, laugh. Take that, we're going to move it over. We're just going to do the same thing, split the text. And this one has some other interesting things in it to show how this is going to work. The U is going to be one of those ones where it's hard to tell if it's going to be readable, but if you can move it up a little bit so it doesn't mess up the A, it's going to work. And some of this is just going to take some experimenting. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to take that. We are going to... I'm hitting the wrong button. I'm showing you and I know what I'm doing, and I still did it wrong. Hit union. Okay. Now, to put this in here, we are going to have to turn them sideways. And you kind of want to get them at pretty near. Well, I don't know why that zoomed out like that. Pretty near the same angle. You want them, you want it to look good. Okay, that looks pretty decent. All right, so we're going to take the laugh one and bring that down and expand it out. And one thing you want to do is get this ring out of here. That's going to just cause a pain in the neck. But you're going to take laugh, and we're going to shrink that down a little bit and just move it till we get it where it's got good contact. And we don't want it to take too much, but we want something like that should work pretty good. I think we might just go a little bit smaller. Something like that. Okay, and then love. Expand that out until it touches both sections. As you can see, it's a little too big. Right, a little bit smaller and shift it. And live, we're going to do the same thing. Move that back to there. Okay, so we've got these in here. Now, your first instinct would be to say, okay, we'll just come in here and we'll hit union. For some reason, union just the outer edges doesn't work. So, none of these work for this. Oh, wait, now, see, subtract worked that time. Now, when I tried it before, it didn't work, but that's what we want right there. Okay, so now if we hit engrave, that is what you're going to get for your cutout. That looks pretty good. So that's what you're going to get if you want to do live, love, laugh. So that would be one of your pieces that you could do. And that would look like, in all honesty, it would go in here like this. And you're going to go back to score. I'm going to take this. We're going to make a compound vector. And then you're going to hit engrave. And this is what your cutout is going to look like. Just like that. Okay? So that's that one. Now say you wanted a holiday one. Okay? So you want a seasonal one. Now, unfortunately, I used up my trim ring here. So we're going to switch that to cut. We're going to take this. We're going to release the compound vector. I'm going to take that piece, we're going to copy it. We're going to paste it. And we know we have a 1/4 inch offset. So we're just going to go back in here. We're going to go inner offset 0.25. Okay, so there's our confirm. There's our next one. Now on our next one, just for the fun of it, let's say you wanted a Christmas one. So you could go, don't hit enter, hit click. So on your Merry Christmas, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to split your text. And I'm not going to go through this whole thing just because you just saw how I did it on that one. I'll just show you the finished result and you can do it however you want. But we could also try a different text. So what I'll do is I may mess around with some texts and we'll see what we come up with. Okay, so one strange thing I wanted to show was we did this all in caps, but if you click on some of these, it changes it. So we wanted it caps, but it makes it caps and small letters. So I don't know why that does that, but it does. And some actually join them together already. I noticed a couple of them joined them. So that's something else you could look at as you're going through this, trying different things. But I did think it was kind of strange that it changes it to large and small. Now, some of these would be really cool. The only problem is cutting out wouldn't work. So something to think about. Now, if you had a CO2 laser and you want to do some of these in multiple layers of, acrylic shining through, you could probably do that in probably do that one in 2-color acrylic or something. That'd be really cool. But I don't have a CO2 laser, so we're not going to do that. But that's a possibility if you have a CO2 laser. In the future, we'll see what happens. But right now, I'm where I'm at. See, now this one here, it joined them on the R's. I'd be very tempted to try that. And I think that's what we'll do. We'll try that for an experiment for this video. Okay, so that Merry Christmas, to make it work, I mean, Christmas and Merry are two different sized words. So if you want them to touch both sides, you got to make this fairly big. Now, there's another way you could do that, and I thought about it. You could bring this down to the same size and tie it in with something like a little Christmas ball or something. So say we went into Elements and there's so much stuff in here, or a snowflake or something like that. But you could say, take Christmas, and you could add, say, a Christmas ball. Now to do this, you're going to want to do offset 0, confirm, and undo that. Pick the wrong thing. Take that out, delete that. And we could take something like this. Now, because this is the way it is, you're going to want to basically make sure that these are connected. So you're going to want to edit this. I'm going to straighten that out a little bit. And then straighten that out a little bit. Clip that out. And then we're going to do the same over here, down at the bottom. I'm going to add a tie point here, tie point here. And we're just going to drag that up. Straighten 2 of these right out like that. Take this one and drag it over to there. Straighten it up. And clip those. I think that looks a little crooked, so we're going to slide that in like that. That's something. A little more. I don't know why that one decided to do that, but we're going to click out and go back in here and put that back to there. Straighten it out in line with that. Click that. Done. What does this look like now? Okay, that looks pretty good. Can we take this, this, and this, and hit unite? Okay, so we just cut this out with the way that I did the lettering. Let's see if everything worked. Oh, we had one section we didn't cut quite through, but I'm going to call that a win, if you can see that. Okay, that looks pretty cool. So that would be what we'd have on our Valance. Okay, so I would put a backer behind that or something, but we'll work on that. Okay, so the laser just finished up. This took 15 minutes and 31 seconds to cut out, and I cut this out. Let me just go back here real quick. I cut this out at 75 and 5 speed. So here's our reveal on this, and as we can see, the eye on Christmas did not make it through, and 75 at 5 speed did not cut all the way through. So, and I just moved everything. If that happens and you're smart, you'll bang the camera. You'll take this and you'll do a test. And I did not do enough testing to make sure that was good. But we have no flash or anything, so it came out really nice, but it could have used another pass. We're just going to take a knife and clean this up. As you can see, this was basically underlayment from Home Depot. So you can see it's got a knot right here. This is where we didn't cut through. So we're just going to take a razor knife. We're going to cut that. And we didn't cut through here. This wood is not very consistent, But as you can see, I cleaned my laser bed since the last time, and we have no flashback on the back of this pretty much at all. But it's just a couple of spots we didn't cut through. Now, we could have run this again, but, I mean, honestly, just cut these spots and we're good. So I'm going to cut those out, and then we'll do a reveal. So here are two possibles. You got Live, Love, Laugh. You got Merry Christmas. You could do Happy Easter. You could do a real cool Halloween one. I'm probably going to do a real cool Halloween one coming up. I think that'd be awesome. But let's go show the rest of this. As you can see, though, I did do a 1/4 inch on this one, a 1/2 inch on this one. So this one did come out a little bit thin. I would probably do a 1/2 inch on this one when I redo it. So when you're getting ready to paint this end, these 1/4 inch plywood pieces glued up, you might not get them perfect, so they might have a little bit of ridge on them and stuff. Just clamp them together nice. So you just want to hit them with a sander so that they look like, instead of looking like 4 pieces of 1/4 inch, they look like 4 pieces of, or 2 pieces of 1/2 inch. So your two sides look like solid 1/2 inch. And then on the bottom here, we've got a little bit of mismatch. We sanded those all up. Those look nice. We'll paint them, and hopefully they'll look like solid wood when we're done painting them. And if you're smarter than me, you won't do your sanding on your painting area. Because if you sand on your painting area, you get sawdust all over your painting area before you paint. So maybe take it in another room and sand it. Don't do like I did. So I carried this into the other room and sanded the underside of this too. So these are all sanded up to match. And then we're going to paint them. So after you've done your sanding, before you paint them, just kind of clean them off with a rag, or I have to have my air hose right handy, so I'm just going to blow off all the dust before we paint it. Okay, so I just painted this whole face up. So when you paint these, you'll know you got it sanded right when the paint goes on. You don't have a big seam. If you got a big seam showing, then you might need to sand, or you might need to put a little filler in there. But once we've got a coat of paint on this, that looks pretty darn good. I don't think that seam's going to be all that noticeable. We just don't want something that stands out as a major gap. So I clamped these real good when I glued them up. So we basically just made 1/2 inch plywood, because plywood is nothing but layers of plywood glued together. So there we are, all painted. And that looks like a nice 1/2 inch piece of wood. And you could glue a third one on there and make it look like 3/4 if you wanted. So we'll paint the backs of these real quick, and then we'll be ready to assemble. So when you glue these up, if they don't come out perfectly flat, when you go to glue your sides on, they might not glue up as well. So the easiest way to be just take this on a miter saw. If you don't have a miter saw, you just take a circular saw, set your depth, you know, a little depth adjustment on the side here, set your depth so it just comes through the wood a little bit. And then if you want a nice square cut, just pick up one of these real cheap. They don't cost much, and then you just want to graze the edge, hold this tight against there. And that will give you a beautiful, nice, smooth edge to glue to. If you have a miter saw, just stick it in the miter saw, trim it off. But see how when we glue this up, we got a little over bit of paint. They're pretty perfect, but they'll be better if you clean them up. So we're going to do this side on the miter saw real quick. So to attach this end, I had a little bit of glue. This is flat, but you can see there was a little bit of glue in here. One cheap chisel set can help you out on a lot of that. If you don't wipe your glue off, you can just take that chisel and clean it back like that, and that gets rid of that ridge. Because when I went to put this onto here, it was tipped out like that. We want it nice. We want it pretty close to square. So we're going to attach this with glue and some brad nails. And I'm going to show you another quick tip just to save you a headache. If you're running brad nails and you switch over from an 1¼ inch brad nail to a 5/8 brad nail, just take a scrap piece of wood and put a nail in and make sure it doesn't go through. Because I've been doing projects where I wanted to use a 5/8 nail and there was 1.25 inch nail still in the gun that I didn't see. And I fired an 1.25 inch nail through my project and basically messed it up. So just do a quick nail check into a scrap wood or something to make sure you're not still firing 1.25 inch nails. And then my ketchup bottle is full of Tight Bond 3. And then we're just going to take this and we're going to put some wood glue on it. We're going to push it up in so that glue smooshes right in tight. And then when you nail, never nail where your hand is, and nail like this. And then once you've got it pinned, move your hand away from that one. And get our last one. Okay, so she's nailed on. We can check it for square, which, if you can see that, we're off maybe a 1/16 of an inch. So you could square that up with a set of blocks or something like that. This is a Valance. It's not a cabinet grade piece, so I'm not going to worry about that. But have a damp cloth ready to wipe that glue off once you've got it nailed and glued. And as you can see on the other end, same thing. I did not have a damp cloth with me. I just glued these together and I had to go somewhere, so I just left it and didn't clean it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to, just the easiest way to clean this up is take a utility knife and just run it right along your edge there. Break that glue loose. And just take your chisel and come in and pop it out. We got one more here. Gonna clean that up nice. See how it looks. Put that onto there. Put our square in there. And that looks really good. So we're going to glue that and we're going to nail it. And again, just make sure your hand is not near where you're nailing. You're not going to nail through your face. And there's our other side on. And again, we're maybe a 1/16 out. We're not going to worry about that really. But here's our Valance side. And we're all assembled. Okay, and then we'll just do a little touch-up painting on this. Because when we cut, a tiny piece chipped out on the front. And you got to paint this bottom, make it look better. And then we'll be ready to put it up. Now, I didn't go over, I did it my way, and there are other options. If you don't have a brad nailer, you could pre-drill these and screw them with small screws and paint them. Or you could hand brad nails in. You could just brad nail with hand nails. Just, it's easier with a brad nailer, but it's not the only way to do the job. So don't let that discourage you if you don't have a brad nailer. You could still build this project with regular finish nails. Because you could go right to the hardware store and pick up some nice little nails like this and nail them in. This is just holding it until the glue dries. Once the glue dries, she's going to hold anyway. So you could just clamp it and glue it if you wanted to, but a little bit of mechanical connection helps. So that's just another way to do this if you don't have a brad nailer. So these are the two Valances I came up with. Which one do you like better? Tell me what you think. I think the red might have been a little too bright for this. I might have gone with a lighter, darker gray, black and gray, or something like that. But it's not bad. I would definitely get the Conveyor for the S1 if I was going to keep doing these. I don't have the space right now, but I'm going to have to work things around and move things around a bit. Because it is convenient to be able to do these larger things. But I actually like this in the 3 pieces. So even if I had the Conveyor, I might do the front in 3 pieces. But it would be nice to cut the back out in one pass and not have a seam here. So The conveyor would definitely pay for itself if you do a lot of this, because this is a lot more work to do these in. This is done in 2 pieces, and then what I did was I made this out of a full piece. So if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on these. If you got any ideas, show me what you made. If you're gonna make some valances, show me what you got. I'd love to see it. And I'm gonna keep making stuff, so see you in the next video.